Hello, my name is Fontanese Green, and I am a realtor. I'm an author, but the most fascinating of it all is I'm an entrepreneur. And I love to serve women of faith to help them build up their career and their purpose and what they're called to. I am on several boards in my community. I love community service, so stay tuned for my story.
Okay, Ms. Fontanese Green, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you.
So the first question is, what actually inspired you to get into real estate?
Well, I started into real estate because previously I owned a commercial cleaning company, and I had gotten into a car accident. I was rear-ended, and because of that, I could no longer do the business anymore. I was in such a young state. You know, when you have a business, it's just like having kids. So it was too young for me to be able to pass on. And so because of that, I was like, okay, what can I do? What's next? And so I started taking real estate classes. And that's where my career was birthed.
So what schooling was required to become a realtor? I know you said you went to school, so what was the name and then the total length of program?
I went to Butler Community College, the Lawrence County branch. That's where they were hosting the real estate classes. And I did about, was it 3 months maybe? There's 70 hours that you need to do in order to be able to take your real estate exam. So it was a community college that was hosting the classes, and so that's where I went.
Was there financial aid available to you at the time, like as far as scholarships or anything to help you with real estate school?
No, there wasn't any. It was self-pay, but it wasn't super expensive. It was $400 that I had to pay to get my transcripts and everything and attend the class. So no financial aid. But now today, brokerages are offering classes at a discounted price. So you just have to check with the different brokerages to see which ones are doing that.
What year did you become a certified realtor?
2017.
Okay.
So I missed the crash that happened in 2008, and so I got my license in 2017 in January, and so I'm coming up on 6 years of being in real estate.
How would you say the world of real estate has changed since 2017 you said?
Yeah, well, I mean, what I can say about real estate now is that rates are totally different from where they used to be. Back in 2020, 2021, and early 2022, rates were low. They were below 5%. And now we're seeing, rates in the 7s and the 8s. That's what has changed the market. Is the rates. People are not quite sure whether to buy or to stay and save. It just depends on your situation because everyone's different. Everyone's different.
Explain what interest rate is concerning the housing market?
Sure. So an interest rate is what the banks will attach to the money, and how much of it you pay back extra in interest. Interest is what the banks use in order to make more money, right? They tack along that interest rate so that they can continue to make money. As far as the housing, back in 2021, people were having an interest rate of 2%, 3%. So it was as if the banks was giving money away,
I was looking at homes too, and I'm not even buying now, but it's crazy. I'm saying like 8, 9, 10% interest.
Yeah. And that also depends too on credit score. So I would advise people to work on their credit, make sure they're not spending over 30% on their credit cards, and just being smart with your credit and your money. So
good advice. Okay, so what does a typical week in the life of a realtor, in your life as a realtor, look like?
Lord, I would say like my typical life is, because I am a mother of a 5-year-old, and I'm also a Gigi of 2 granddaughters, and a wife, and like life, we have life. But you're in charge of your own schedule. So sometimes my schedule is crazy. I don't know how I make it through the week. And then sometimes my schedule is more dealing with family and nurturing the relationships that I have. But yeah, it just depends. It goes week by week, day by day, and you just learn to manage.
I heard you say that with being a realtor, you get to make your own schedule. That's awesome. I feel like that's a big perk. So would you say that entails, do you show the houses yourself? Do you meet with clients? Like, what does that look like?
Yep. So, and it depends on how you structure your business. Because as a real estate agent, although I work under a broker, I am an independent contractor. So that means I'm in charge of how my business is ran, systems and processes, who's on my team, who isn't. But yeah, so my schedule means that I have to show the properties, put on lock boxes. I have to put out open house signs because as an agent, we hold open houses for our listings. But I could structure it to where I hire someone who hangs my sign, does my lock boxes, different things like that. So it just depends on how you structure. But as for me and my business, I'm doing it all.
What would you say is the most rewarding and the most challenging part about your career?
The most rewarding is handing keys over to a first-time home buyer, or as I like to and love to work with, is first-generation home buyers. I've had the privilege and the honor to work with people whose family has never owned a home before. And so they would be the first generation of home buyers. And so being able to pass keys along to them is one of the most rewarding parts of my job. The hardest part of my job is, I probably have several, but one would be not being able to work with a colleague on the other side. And so that sometimes can be very challenging. Or if for any reason, like life happens to one of my clients, say they lose a job or something happens, we've had to where a spouse has passed away just before they close, so that ultimately changes their life. So
Definitely.
That may be the only con, but that pro of passing those keys along is the best.
How does a realtor get paid? I feel like this can be a lot of us regular people don't understand how you guys get paid, because there's a certain thing called commission that I've heard of. And then I'm like, do they still get paid hourly? So how does that work?
I always say this: if you don't get to the closing table, you do not get paid. We are strictly commission. And that means that it is our job, in which it grows you. It makes you like dig into your bag of developing relationships as much as you can, because some things you just can't control. Sometimes you can't control finances, you can't control situations that happens in people's lives. But yeah, we are strictly commissioned. So it is our job to get our clients to the closing table in order to get paid.
That is crazy. Okay. So even if you're still meeting with, like, that doesn't include you're still meeting with clients, like taking your time out to still talk to them about houses.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I like that though. You have to have drive to do that.
Yes, for sure.
What's one thing you wish everyone knew about real estate?
That it is not as easy as it looks. It can look very glamorous, if you will. However, it is hard work, and it's not cheap. You have to pay fees, MLS fees, lockbox super fees. You have to pay a split with your broker. So it is not cheap to be a real estate agent. So.
Well, all those extra fees and stuff too.
Oh yeah. And so that means you're going to have to be smart with your money.
So you advise a person that may be interested in being a realtor, would you advise them to get down the budgeting skills before they even hop into that?
So not only should you budget to become an agent, but you should also have someone like maybe a CPA, an accountant, your auntie that's real good with money, sit down and talk, and even maybe have a nest egg of some savings before you get started.
Okay, so while we're on that topic, would you recommend any classes, any training, even getting a mentor to start out?
Well, we can't practice without a license, and you don't get a license until you go through the schooling. If someone has gone through, taken their classes, passed their tests, I would 100% say get a mentor, a coach. I am a advocate for coaching and mentorship. I have both, not only in business but in life. Like, you need to connect with people that can help take you further than you can alone.
So what's the major difference? We're going to change a little bit. What's the major difference between being a realtor and a landlord?
I mean, some agents do both. Some agents, they not only sell property, but they buy property as an investor. Being a landlord can be a difficult position, especially if you are not the type of person to be like, stay on someone. You know what I mean? Like, to kind of, you have to do this or you have to do that. A lot of times, though, people hire property management companies who already have the skill and the tact and the know-how to manage the property. So being an agent and a landlord is completely different. Completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
So now I want you to think back. When did you first realize that you were walking in your true purpose from God?
Let me tell you, and this may sound super crazy, but it was the end of last year.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Bible. So I love real estate. I love what it does for people's lives. I love how it can build a community, but I wasn't fully satisfied. I have a calling on my life, but I wasn't walking fully in it. So it was the end of last year, and I was just feeling like something is missing, something is wrong. Like, how could I not be happy? It's like I have everything I want and need, but something was yet missing. And I started going to therapy. I did therapy. I did coaching and so my coach is a woman of faith, right? So because I knew I not only needed the worldly or carnal side of who I am, but I also needed the spiritual side because I'm both. And so I connected with these two awesome women who helped my life in two different ways. That's when things started to click. I started to realize how I can merge business and faith together. And that's what really changed things for my life. And that's when I knew that I've hit a vein. I know where I'm at now, and I know where I'm going, and I know who I serve. So
that is awesome. So the next question is, how has God used this occupation to develop your character?
You have to be accountable. You are accountable to others. You have to be integral. You are dealing with people who are most likely spending more than they've ever spent in their lives on this property. And so they need to trust you and know that what you're saying, what you're doing is full of integrity. In order for me to sleep at night, I needed to not only hold myself accountable, but have that coach and that mentor to hold me accountable as well as to how I was treating and serving my community. The Lord will, when you love Him, you do things differently.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. So before we got to this interview, I did my research on you as much as I could. Now, I wasn't searching you like, trying to find your credit score, but I was trying to see what you've been up to. So I noticed that you are also an author.
Yeah.
And that's huge. So I want to clap it up for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's exciting. Is this your first book?
This is my first book. Broccoli and French fries.
Yes. I actually said the name. So this is awesome. It's a children's book.
Yep.
And is it talking about nutrition? I didn't get to read it yet. I want to get it from my brother, actually.
Okay.
So what is it talking about?
So Broccoli and French fries is about my daughter who is celebrating her birthday. And she is going out with her friends to dinner. And at this dinner, the friends are ordering the foods that they love. And my daughter Gabby comes out. The waitress says, well, Gabby, what do you want? She's like, I want broccoli and French fries. And it totally throws the friends by surprise. They're like, what? Broccoli and French fries? And, you know, at the end, it's what they all chose to eat for dinner. So it's a sweet story wrapped around my daughter and the celebration of her birthday.
Well, I like that storyline. It is definitely totally different.
Yes.
But I've seen, though, that it's sold out. So you had, 50 copies, I believe, at first?
Yep.
And they sold out in
sold
a week,
out, yes.
Yes. So that is amazing.
Yes, I'm super proud of it, super proud. So we're actually working on our second set of 50 now. So yeah, I'm excited.
So tell me, how did you use your current occupation in order to fund your current passion of being an author?
So again, I think that would go back to money management, budgeting, and all of that, because in this time, you have to have multiple streams of income. And because of that, I had a passion to write a book. And I have a couple others that's coming behind this one. And it takes money, you know, to do that, to be able to publish a book. And so that's what I did. I used, you know, money that I made from real estate to fund my books.
I like that you still make time for your passions, and even though you're passionate about being a realtor, but you're like, I still need, you know, I want to go after something else.
Absolutely.
So you find a way to still pay your bills, but also still fund what you're interested in.
Absolutely. Because I think that when you begin to walk in your purpose, and then anointed and gifted people have more than one thing that they can do. And I think the balance in that is, you know, honing in on exactly what God is calling you to do. Because just because you can do it, don't mean that you should. You know, it has to be something that God is leading you to do. So,
yes, ma'am. What does an author look like for you? Like the process, I know there's like brainstorming, writing, collaborating. What does it look like?
So those things. So it's kind of like finding what you want to write about. I wanted to bring in my daughter and make her a part of the story. And she had an amazing time with it. We sat down for our book release and she was like, Mom, all these people came to see me. Yeah, so it takes that brainstorming and finding the story and making it interesting enough, you know, that people may want to read it. Illustration, I have a friend who illustrated the book, Sophisticated Press. They illustrated it. And she literally taught me how to self-publish my own book. Yeah, so there's a cost up front, but on the back end, you make the money when you self-publish.
So where can they find your book? I think I seen a post where you were saying where you're like currently selling. So where can they find it?
So as of right now, we're working to get it into you know, Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and everywhere books are sold. But I do have a Shopify. People can order online. We're happy to say that the book has gone to Alabama. It's gone to Florida, and so we're super excited about that. But yeah.
Well, I'll make sure to put it on the screen, your Shopify, so they can find you in the description too. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Wow. Well, I'm going to say, and this is real, this is so real, is what I would tell my younger self is never hide your light. Never be afraid to be who you are in everything God has called you to be. As an adult, I found myself dimming my light or trying to hide myself under a basket just because you don't want people to think you're too much. I would tell her, be who God has called you to be and be comfortable with it. Never let your light dim.
Okay, so this is the last question.
Okay.
Is there anything you would like to share before we end the interview?
Well, yeah. I guess what I would say is that I have become a lover of luxury events. And so I am beginning to put on luxury networking events for women in business. And I am also writing a success guide for women in business that'll be out first quarter of next year, and that I'm super proud of. So yeah, that's what I would say. Be who God has called you to be, and don't apologize.
That's good.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, Ms. Martinez, thank you so much for coming and joining me today. I know, like, you didn't know anything about my channel. I'm starting fresh.
Yeah.
So I just thank you for, like, you know, putting that faith in me and just saying, I'll try it. You know, I'll be here for you.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you for
It's
that.
a pleasure.
But I'm excited to see what you're going to be putting out. This is only the beginning for you. Everything will be in the description, your book, your Shopify, all of that.
Okay.
But that's the end, guys. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye.